There's a big auto show going on right now, Shanghai Auto Show. That's taking place right now, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
I say it with confidence, and I didn't know anything about it before a couple of minutes ago because I've just been so busy doing other things. There's a whole bunch of cars that are going to be unveiled there. I mean, by the time you hear this, you'll already know that. We're not going to talk about them today because we haven't really had a chance to go through any of that
Yeah.
stuff because we're recording this a little bit early due to life.
Yes.
But we will
Some
talk
may be
about
coming to the US, but we're not
some,
sure exactly
yeah, some
which
of the
ones.
cars. We don't know. We'll dig into it a little bit more. We'll see. And I don't know. We'll figure stuff out. But I will talk about a car show in this episode that's a little more, it's closer to home
Local.
for me because it was literally like half a mile from my house. And so it's not like an international show or anything, but there were a couple interesting takeaways that I had from this car show that was an EV only car show.
No?
I am Phil Royle. I am one of the co-hosts here on the podcast. I bring you 3 years of experience in automotive journalism and content creation. 3 years that started 20 some years ago. It's just, or maybe it has only been 3 years. It just seems like 20 years.
We've been doing the podcast for 4, so at least 4.
Yeah.
That's your cutoff.
Okay. So at least 4 years of experience. I sell t-shirts, thewhatcar.com/store, and the t-shirts help support the blog of the podcast. If you go to youtube.com/@thewhatcar, you'll see Ed wearing a What Car hat, and you will see me not wearing a What Car shirt for whatever reason. I decided to wear a rock shirt today. You can
Rock on.
go to our YouTube channel. Take a look.
Anyway, yes, my turn. Ed Sanchez, 20 plus years in automotive content creation and moderation, day job, automotive electronics industry analyst, and the Watt Car co-founder and contributor.
My city, we're kind of a very green city here. We have a lot of electric buses, electric things. Like one of my kids' schools has a Tesla Powerwall. I think all the city cars are electric or at least plug-in hybrids at this
Mhm.
point.
The school
So
buses.
yeah, the school buses are still nice and diesel. You know, I gotta love that. But they're, I believe, working on that. That's one
Yeah.
of the next projects that they're doing. But they had an Arbor Earth Day thing
All
over
right.
one of the recent weekends. And part of that was the local EV society.
Who
I
knew?
forget what they are. Yeah. They hold a car show every year and they all bring out their personal cars and then they educate people on EVs. So they all sit there with their cars and, you ask questions, you can poke around in their car and they're just trying to spread the word.
Mhm.
And last year, I believe the only manufacturer that showed up was a local like Chevy dealer brought a Bolt out.
Mhm.
It was kind of cool because they then brought chalk and paint,
Mhm.
and you could paint and chalk up the car. Like
Oh,
it was all like
interesting.
they did it with like washable paint or whatever. So you paint all over the thing, and then they rinsed it off and they bring it back. It was kind of cool. So this year, though, there was a dealer that brought a Dodge Charger Daytona,
All right.
a Silverado EV, an Equinox,
Mm-hmm.
a Jeep Wrangler
4 by
S
E.
4xe, so all the electric versions. And then Tesla showed up with a Model Y and a Model 3.
Did have a graffiti on it.
Yeah, they didn't have to have you graffiti.
Yeah.
No, so before it's only been like this. I assume it's the same dealer showed up with the Bolt last year, showed up with
Mhm.
these cars. They also brought a Bolt. I think it was right around the corner. I don't know. I wasn't interested. But I did get to sit in the Charger Daytona
Mhm.
and start it up. He was very proud of that. He
With
was
the
having people fired
Fratzonic
up with the
exhaust.
Fratzonic exhaust. It was super cool. I showed up with my kids and I was
Mhm.
showing them the nose of the car. I'm like, this is the coolest design feature of this car.
Did you stick your hand through it?
Yeah. He had the hood popped, as you
Yeah.
would at any,
Yeah.
red-blooded American car show. You pop the hood. And so I was showing the kids like that, and I was like, see how it looks square? Like it still looks like the muscle car? Because they've only just discovered muscle cars. They love
Mhm.
Challengers and Chargers. They
Mhm.
love seeing these. And so they've just discovered that there's a difference between a supercar and a muscle car and all this stuff. So I was like, okay, look at this. This is an EV. and they're still keeping this design, but because
Hmm.
aerodynamics are
Hmm.
essential, look at the front wing is by all counts, that's what it is
Hmm.
on this car. So the guy comes over and he's like, do you know anything about it? I'm like, I know a couple things because I've been explaining it to my kids. And he was like, all right, it seems like you know enough. Um, have one of your kids hop in and start it. So I knew what was going to happen, but
And
I
they're like,
never,
whoa.
yeah, my kids were like, oh, this is so cool. I'd never heard this in person.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if you've heard the Fratzonic.
I've not. I've just seen videos and stuff.
It's not like a car sound.
Hmm.
I mean, it is, but
So the videos I've seen, it kind of sounds video game-ish.
it gives like a whine, like when you're starting like a jet engine, like this,
Hmm.
and then it goes, and I don't know if he had it turned down. It was quite
Uh-huh.
loud. You could hear it from quite a distance away, but it wasn't like huge. But then you could rev
Uh-huh.
it, roam,
Yeah.
roam, roam. It
Yeah.
was cool.
Yeah.
Like everything, all the other EVs there are very much like, well, you sit in them and you move the seat and you
Play with the touchscreen. Yeah.
play with the touchscreen. That was it. This was like interactive.
Uh-huh.
I liked it.
Really? Huh. So this kind of, in some ways, this kind of reminds me of the Ionic 5N when they first announced it would have the in-grin mode and the
Yep.
simulated shifts and all that. And before people drove it, they said, "Oh, that's stupid and cheesy and all that." But once people drove it, they said, "Yeah, it's actually a pretty compelling experience." So, I mean, I'm wondering. I mean, I know they're kind of different cars, ironically priced pretty similarly, at least the Ionic 5N to the Charger Daytona. But
Yeah, none of the cars
yeah,
there were cheap.
yeah.
I should say
I
that.
mean, even on the low end, I'm guessing probably 40s, right?
For the lowest priced vehicle there,
Yeah.
that would have probably been the
Bolt.
Model 3, and I bet that was performance that was there. I didn't even look at, I don't know
Oh,
if he had the
okay.
sticker
So
on it. They
that's
were
about 50. Yeah.
the Equinox would have been potentially the
Well,
cheapest thing
depending on the
there.
trim, yeah. And that's
Yeah.
even there, that's I think that's around 40. So
Yeah. So this one was, I forgot what he said. It was 70 something
yeah, it sounds
thousand, I
about right.
think. And then the Silverado was
Yeah.
76,000, something like that.
What I want to hear your impressions of the size because on paper, the Charger's a big car.
Oh, yeah, it's great.
Is the
But I've
back
got a big
now?
family.
Yeah.
But
Well, but the back seat is pretty big too. I
back
mean, so
seat
that's
was
the
big,
advantage. Yeah.
front seat was big. The lift back with the trunk,
Hmm.
the trunk's a lot
Yeah.
higher than I expected. The
Hmm.
floor of the trunk is very high.
Hmm.
And I didn't pop the fake floor on there. I'm
Hmm.
assuming there's a half size
Little
spare or
cubby hole.
something in
Yeah.
there. And I don't know. I don't want to start like removing things from the vehicle. But it was the floor of the trunk was a little bit
Hmm.
higher. But the fact
Hmm.
that it's a lift back,
Hmm.
I was
Adds a
just
lot of practicality.
yeah, it is
Yeah.
great. You could suddenly get all the way to the back of the trunk. Like the problem with any car that's not a liftback, any
Hmm.
sedan that's not
Hmm.
a liftback, is you pop the trunk and you can't get
Yeah.
all
It's
the way
just a
to the
little.
back.
Merp.
So you're really only
Yeah.
using the furthest back portion to put your groceries in. This you
Yeah.
could easily reach in.
Or like flat screen TV or
Yeah,
whatever. Yeah.
yeah. Anything you wanted was easily accessible
Yeah.
in the back of this car.
I,
So
I I know they're not as sporty looking, but and they're gonna come out with one shortly. But I honestly think it makes more sense as a four door, especially with the lift back.
yeah,
So, but
yeah. No,
they're gonna offer in both versions. But
yeah. I thought this was a home run. Like I could
mhm.
see myself driving one of these. It was big and obnoxious. I mean, if you can turn the exhaust sound off, that
Yeah,
would be key. I don't know, and I didn't
no,
ask.
no, yeah, you can. Yeah,
Can you?
yeah,
Okay.
it's a mode. You just
Because when I go to like leave my house, if I'm leaving, going to the airport, as I will be doing soon, and I'll be leaving at like 4 or 5 in the morning,
you don't want to
I
kick off all the neighbors.
yeah, and even with like my cars now, I'll take my Kia gas car
Hmm.
and I will drop it into neutral. I live on a little hill, so I'll drop it into
Hmm.
neutral. I'll roll out of my driveway and then stop and start the car and then the lights turn on and everything's fine. Like even that, like I just don't want any sounds when you're doing that because
Hmm.
the bedrooms are right next to where you're parking the cars and
Hmm.
all this stuff. So
Hmm.
the last thing I want to be doing with this EV,
Hmm.
that would be a downside. I wouldn't even
Yeah,
want the ding 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 thing if I could disable that. I want a car like yours, like your Model 3, where it's got
just
its full silent death mode where you can sneak up on anyone. I want the ability to do that. I think
yeah,
EVs by default should make a noise at slow speeds. but you
Well,
should be able
that was
to turn it
mandated since I think
off.
like 2020 or
Yeah.
21. The
Yeah.
little-
Yeah. Yeah. Because they're kind of loud, some of
yeah.
them, especially at 4 in the morning. So it went over and looked at the Silverado. This was my first
Uh-huh.
time climbing around in the Silverado
Did it
EV.
have the mid gate? Most
It did
important
not have
question.
the midgate,
Oh,
but
so disappointing.
the guy was like, you can option this with the midgate. And I was like, let me tell you about my friend. And you know what he said to that? Does he
Ah,
have an avalanche?
he's like, used to
Like, yeah, he is the biggest proponent of the lift gate or the
mid
mid
gate.
gate on
Yeah.
these things. Also, lift backs,
Yeah.
but the anything weird as far as getting in the vehicle is what you seem to like.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, I don't know if he or gave you any news on this. For a while, the midgate option was only available on the RST, which was like 100,000 plus trim,
Yeah.
and the bare bones electric utility refrigerator white version just had the fixed bulkhead. I Chevy, if you're listening, you should make the midgate a standalone option on all trims. That's that's what I'm advocating for. So whether or not they listen, I don't know, but
And this
I
guy was
don't.
definitely
Yeah,
promoting it. Like
yeah.
this was a selling point.
No, I'm actually a fan of the Silverado. I mean, there are aspects of it I'm not a huge fan of. Like the almost 10,000 pound weight, among others. But I think where the current technology is with EV trucks, I actually think they took the right approach, even though it's a brute force, just throw everything at it approach. But it it works. I mean, granted, the trade-off is it's massively heavy, but
But
you know,
completely usable. Like one of the
yeah.
things I don't like about certain pickup trucks, like you go
Hmm.
and you shop for a Toyota Tundra, and
Hmm.
they have, I'm not sure if they currently still have it, but they have two different four-door options. One is a shorter one and one's a
Hmm.
longer
Hmm.
one. And then you
Same
give
with
up
GM,
something
yeah.
on you give up bed size because I think they
Hmm.
use the same chassis. So if
Hmm.
you want like the longer bed, you got to get the shorter cab. And if you want
Hmm.
the shorter, if you're okay with like the 5.5 foot bed, then you can get the longer cab. The shorter cab, like in the back seat, is
Hmm.
not as usable. It's very,
Hmm.
very short. This Silverado, let me tell you.
Stretch out room.
Oh man. And a large bed.
Yeah. Well,
Like
and it is, city block long, but
it's amazing. It is what I need.
yeah.
It is a large back seat, lot of leg room, lot of
Hmm.
ability to put stuff in there. I sometimes will get changed when I go racing or whatever. I will sometimes
Hmm.
get changed in the back of a truck. It is
Hmm.
in the back seat. It's something that I use. So
Hmm.
I need this bigger space. And then the trunk, the bed, I don't know how long the bed was, but it was no shorty. This was no 4 foot
Hmm.
bed.
Hmm.
And then he had the tailgate down and it's got the tailgate step and everything.
Hmm. Hmm.
Very, very usable. And my kids absolutely loved it. So that was
Yeah.
aside from the price, which he was like, oh, but there's, you get the cash back and,
Yeah. Yeah.
all this stuff. And I'm like,
So
yeah,
then it's only 85,000.
yeah, like it's still crazy expensive. And he was like, yeah, it's out of control.
Yeah.
He really had no defense for how expensive
Yeah.
the truck was. But it's kind of for somebody like me, I'm towing a 62 to 6,500 pound travel
Hmm.
trailer. You're pulling a lot of weight. It's got a lot of air resistance.
Hmm.
It's kind of the only thing.
Hmm.
It's got a nice long wheelbase. It's
Yeah.
got a big range where if you get the one that can do 400 and something miles, now you've got
Hmm.
actually the ability to go 150 to 200 miles before
Hmm.
you even start sweating
Hmm.
finding a charger.
Yeah.
So it's really the only thing out there, minus, I mean, the Hummer's like, it's too specialty. It's too high. It's,
Well, I mean, they share platform, but the Hummer is more flash, and the
yeah,
Silverado I feel is more practical.
yeah. And I don't know the measurements, but the trunk on the Hummer definitely looks smaller
Yeah,
than the
no, I think
Silverado
the
Hummer
Hummer's a little
is.
shorter,
Yeah,
but
so it's the Silverado is just hands down. If you want a kind of a dull looking EV truck that does everything that you want it
yeah,
to do,
yeah.
that's the thing. I mean, I would definitely get a Rivian. There was Rivians there.
Hmm.
Rivian
Hmm.
did not show up. There were Rivians there. And you look at the two and it's like I could see myself driving the Rivian,
Hmm.
but I need the Silverado.
Hmm. No, I see the Rivian as kind of more of a play toy a little bit. Like I joke with my girlfriend. It's like No, the official Rivian uniform is a Patagonia jacket. Like, it's very much a lifestyle vehicle, you know.
It is,
Um,
and it's nice.
yeah, but in terms of like a workhorse, yeah, I think it's definitely the Silverado. I would say the Lightning to an extent, but I mean Silverado really
Oh,
raises the bar
yeah.
in terms of capability.
Yeah. Then I went over to the Equinox, and it was an
Hmm.
Equinox. It's fine. The
Yeah,
Jeep was it
the
was a Jeep
Wagoneer
too.
S.
Yeah, the Wagoneer S. It was
Okay.
nice. It was
Hmm.
nice, but it was kind of Land Rover-ish, I
Hmm.
guess, is
Hmm.
what it reminded me of. Is very nice fit and finish on all of these vehicles. And that I like. I mean, it was definitely a step up from like the Equinox.
Hmm.
It's, it just was not really special.
Hmm.
I guess it was a
Yeah.
vehicle, and I guess that was also the theme of these vehicles
Hmm.
was they are vehicles. They're not like remember that the i3
Spaceships. Yeah.
and all the stuff that was like, wow, it looks kind of goofy. None of these looked goofy.
Yeah.
None of them look like quote unquote an EV. They all look like vehicles,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it was
Yeah,
refreshing.
it's I think you're seeing an evolution of the market. I mean, specifically with EVs, where the earlier EVs tried really hard to look different. I think of the Leaf. Even I'd even say the Model 3 to an extent. I mean, I wouldn't say it was, I don't consider it weird looking, but it looked a little different.
Hmm.
Um, but now, you're seeing this transition to where EVs are starting to just look like regular models. Maybe without the grill, but
Yeah,
other than that, kind of the same.
yeah, these all looked great. And so
Hmm.
then the next one over was Tesla.
Hmm.
And this shocked me because Tesla doesn't do things like this.
Hmm.
This will have just been a local
Hmm.
service center that came out.
Hmm.
But Tesla doesn't come out. They never come out. They
Hmm.
never go to auto shows. They
Hmm.
never do any of this. They never promote
Oh, we don't
themselves.
have to.
Yeah, we don't have to advertise. I mean, Elon Musk said it years ago. We don't advertise. We don't have to advertise. And yet
Hmm.
here they were. They were bringing two cars. They were also bringing a raffle where you would get a Cyber Beast for a week if
Oh,
you won the
yeah.
raffle. Like, didn't have to buy anything, just name in a hat. And it was a local thing. So what?
Hmm.
A few thousand people probably
Yeah.
dropping their name in the hat in pretty good numbers. I didn't do it because I didn't want to give them my information. but I mean, that alone. So you've
Yeah.
got Tesla brings out its two bread and butter models.
3 in the
And the
Juniper.
the three and the Juniper, yeah.
Yeah.
And they bring those out to show them.
Hmm.
They were low pressure, but hey, I'm your buddy kind of thing. And
Hmm.
then I'll give you a Cyber Beast for a week with this drawing, which means they've got a Cyber Beast just sitting around doing nothing.
So a funny story. So I passed by um, the Tesla service center in Gilroy on the 101, and I'm not exaggerating. They probably had at least a dozen Cybertrucks just lined up.
It's a problem.
Yeah. So
Yeah, we covered that a little bit on last week's episode of sales are down. And I
yeah,
don't think Tesla ever gets into the specific numbers, but the Cybertruck is definitely not.
underperforming.
Yeah, it's not reaching. If this was my kid's report card, you have like meets expectations, needs improvement. This is
Yeah.
not meeting expectations
Yeah.
for Tesla or the public. I mean,
Yeah.
I have never been a big fan of it.
Hmm.
I didn't really get the design, but at the same time, I don't get a lot of vehicles.
Hmm.
So, to each his own on that. But I thought that they would be selling a ton of these. Even though I didn't like it personally, I figured they would be able to sell as many as they could make for the first year or two. That wouldn't be a problem. And the reality was they made it what, 6 months? And then you could just walk
Yeah.
in and get one.
Yeah. I think part of it's the price. They still haven't come out with the rear wheel drive model, which originally was supposed to be 40, and I guess now that's going to be like 60, the cheap model.
Which
Um,
is insane.
yeah.
You
I
get a
mean,
truck that doesn't do truck things. You get the lowest trim of the truck that can't do truck things,
yeah.
and you're
There,
spending all the money.
yeah. I mean, there's only so many people that can spend 6 figures on a vehicle. So, the fact they brought it to market for that, I mean, it kind of limits your market a little. But
Yeah.
anyway, well, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
There weren't any angry picketers at the Tesla booth.
No,
No,
no, we don't care
no.
necessarily here. I mean, we do. Everybody that sold their Tesla's already sold. Everybody that would have sold their Tesla in my
Yeah,
city has already sold their Tesla. Nobody really cares outside of that. I mean, it did
yeah,
feel a little bit bad for the guy because there weren't a lot of people looking at the Teslas.
yeah.
Like the others, there was kind of to get in the charger. There weren't lines, but there was definitely people milling around.
Hmm.
There was nobody milling around the Tesla thing. I just walked right up, talked to the guy. Like
Yeah,
there
yeah.
was definitely less interest. The
Hmm.
car that had the most interest was the Charger Daytona,
Yeah,
but it's got the exhaust, and that's a party
yeah,
trick.
yeah.
That's great, and it's not like the you get the Model S Plaid, and I think
Hmm.
I've said before, like 0 to 60 in 2 seconds. That's a party trick. Said that
Hmm.
many times. It's
Hmm.
fun, it's great,
Yeah.
but it's a party trick. It's not something you do all the time.
Hmm.
The Charger EV uh, exhaust is
Hmm.
a party trick, but it's a
Hmm.
party trick you can do all the time.
Yeah.
You could do it at the traffic light. You could do it when you come up. Hey, show your friends. It's in the driveway, whatever. It's more of a useful party trick than 0 to 60 in 1.99
I don't know
seconds.
about that. I'm still, in principle, not a huge fan of fake noises, but to
Oh,
each
just
their own, I
wait.
guess.
I'll try to get one out of the
All
fleet.
right, all right.
We'll try.
So
We can
moving
we can drive it
on,
down to Rove.
yes, we could. And I actually visited. So I recently took a road trip to Southern California, and I happened to be in the Orange County area, and I'm like, oh, guess what's around here? I want
You'll
to check it
Rove
out.
if you want to.
I can
You'll
rove if I wanted to, and I wanted to, and I went. So this was, I think, a few months ago. There's a lot of fanfare about the opening of the Rove's first location in Santa Ana. So it's basically kind of a fairly decent sized charging station. They probably, if I had to guess, maybe 50, 60 charging stalls.
So for
Um,
non-California people, Santa
yeah,
Ana, Santa,
like Central Orange County.
yeah, yeah,
It's just south of LA.
yeah.
Um, so combination of both CCS and Tesla. They were actually branded superchargers. Um, so mix, I don't know if I'd say exactly 50-50, but they were a mix of both. And then also, if you're not a Southern California resident, a Gelson's Mini Mart. If you don't know what Gelson's is, it's kind of a bougie, kind of upper class kind of market.
You can buy
Um,
all the granola you want there.
yeah,
Like, and
and
I'm not
you're
even joking. You
yeah,
literally can buy like all the granola you want there.
free range, organic, all that kind
Yeah.
of stuff. Um, so and it was nice. It was like way nicer than your average. I mean, no shade on 7-Eleven, but I mean, Gelson's is a little more of an elevated
Hmm.
experience. So very clean, very well organized, and displayed and everything. Um, Not a lot of people in the store. So I don't know how much money they were making from selling like food, beverages, and that sort of thing. But a lot of the stalls um, were being utilized. So, um, but in terms of people actually buying stuff,
I think we've kind
so
of been,
yeah.
it's an uphill battle a little bit because if you go to a gas station,
Hmm.
you're going to be overpaying for stuff.
Hmm.
Like that's just the way it is.
Yeah,
The gas
yeah.
station makes their money on
That's
all
why they call them
the stuff.
convenience stores, because
Yeah,
you're paying for the convenience,
you
basically.
pay a lot of money to shop at a convenience store.
Hmm.
And I think that there's that to get over. There's too
Hmm.
much. We know that we're getting ripped off when you
Hmm.
go inside a convenience store. So you only buy the essentials.
Hmm.
If I'm on a road
Hmm.
trip, then I'll
Yeah.
go in and I'll spend, $15, whatever, and buy candy and soda and snacks and
Hmm.
whatnot because
Hmm.
it's convenient and
Hmm.
it's the only option that I have. But if I'm just trying to get home, I'm not going to buy my
Yeah.
milk
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
going to
Yeah.
go
Yeah.
somewhere else.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I didn't think the prices were exorbitant. I was expecting to be like, oh my, who would pay this? And I'm like, oh, these prices aren't that bad. So,
Was there
I mean, I
avocado
wouldn't say that
toast?
it was a bargain, but
Could you
it
buy your
wasn't like,
avocado
oh, I
toast
can't.
there? No? 30 bucks for avocado toast?
Uh,
Couldn't get that there?
no, but so interestingly, the day I came in, they had a barbecue day, and they had a guy with you know, a barbecue pit outside, and they were like making, and
See,
the
that's
cashier even
cool.
said like, I can't remember the exact day. I can't remember if it was a Thursday or Friday or whatever. He's like, "Oh, remember every Friday barbecue day," you know. So
That's cool.
yeah. So anyway, it was really nice. I guess they're going to open a second. I guess they're going to open multiple locations as a plan. Um, I was going by Costa Mesa, which is kind of an adjacent city. It's a little closer to the beach. But they had a sign up on this lot, this kind of dirt lot that had some construction going on. It says coming soon, Rove.
Hmm.
So it looks like they're trying to expand. I wish them well. I mean, I'm not entirely convinced this is a profitable or sustainable business model. I'm assuming they did some research and some some forecasts about this, and they kind of figured out how to make it break even or make money. But
So there's a couple ways I've
yeah.
covered this before. There's a couple ways that you can go about doing things like charging infrastructure, and
Hmm.
one of them is, from the way I understand it anyway, is the way Tesla did it, which was kind of a potentially a loss leader for selling
Hmm.
other
Hmm.
products, and then not relying on government funds. You do it yourself, and then if you can get government funds, that's the cherry on top, and then you
Hmm.
get this
Hmm.
sustainable business model. Rove, if they are relying on government funding, they're dead in the water.
Hmm.
Because if they built it based on getting
Navy funds. Yeah.
NEVI funds, those are gone.
Yeah. Yeah.
Bad news for you, Rove,
Yeah.
but you got whatever you got. And if the
Hmm.
model relied on that,
Hmm.
they're going to be out of business before the end of the year.
Yeah.
If they didn't rely on it and they did the smart thing, like Tesla,
Hmm.
and I was going to say,
Supposedly
like,
Iona claims
yeah,
are not, their
well,
business plan doesn't rely on.
a lot of them, they rely on the companies, like the big
Hmm.
manufacturers that are
Hmm.
backing it,
Yeah.
to fund it. But then are they relying on government money
Hmm.
in order
Hmm.
to, like, when does the money dry
Where does
up?
the buck stop? Yeah.
Yes. Yes. So we don't really know about those. But if they have done this with a plan, at least with Iona and
Hmm.
uh why am I blanking on it? The Volkswagen one, like Try America,
Oh, yeah.
that at least there they were like, well, we've got deeper pockets that we can pull from.
Hmm.
The
Hmm.
has a, if this is a loss leader, at least it
Hmm.
has a cause, and
Hmm.
maybe GM or Ford or whoever will continue to fund it
Hmm.
as
Yeah.
their EV sales go up, even if they're not getting the money from the government because they see the benefit on that.
Hmm.
With Rove, I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, as an experience, it was nice. It was clean. It was well maintained, but it's also brand new. I mean, it's less. I think it's been open for less than a year, so of course it's going to be new and shiny and nice. My question is, what is that going to look like 5 to 10 years from now? Is it going to still be around?
I don't think I've told this story on the podcast because why would I have? I went to Vegas a couple years
Uh-huh.
ago. I went on a camping trip and we camped outside of Vegas, and I took the kids in. They'd never seen, the strip. So we went
Hmm.
in
Hmm.
and I'm there with my wife, my kids, and I'm walking around and I say to my wife, like, man, I don't know if I had just like rose colored glasses on when I first came to Vegas in the late
Hmm.
90s when I was in college and did an
Hmm.
internship and everything. I was like, but I remember Vegas being amazing and bright and, wonderful and new and exciting.
Glamorous, yeah.
And now here I am 20 years later, and the carpet's sticky like it used to be down in Old Town on the main street, or whatever it's called, Fremont Street,
Yeah.
and it smells bad, and everything's just smells, baked in cigarette smoke, and it seems bad. Was I just so excited when I came for the first time? And the answer is no. It was new when I went the first time. Everything was
Hmm.
built in the mid to late 90s to the early 2000s. So as I was going in the late 90s,
Hmm.
early 2000s, even like, 2010, it
So
was
that
still
was the
kind
era
of
of like the
new.
Bellagio and all that.
Yeah, as Bellagio was being built up, as they revamped Caesar's Palace. They did a lot of work bringing everything new. They built Paris.
Hmm.
They they
Hmm.
they built all of this new stuff, and I happened to be going there at that time.
Hmm.
Now there's been a decade and a half of minimum of that falling to pieces, and it's gotten to the point now where I don't really want to go back per se.
Hmm. Hmm.
Like I will, it's still fun,
Hmm.
but it's not clean. It's not nice. It's not new. It's not pretty.
Hmm.
And as soon as you take that out, now you begin to see what it's really like.
Yeah.
And Rove could fall into that of it's nice and it's new and it's pretty and it smells nice now. But fast forward for a gas station or EV station,
Hmm.
5 years.
Hmm.
How quick
Yeah.
does it go downhill?
Yeah. So I hope they keep it up. I hope they maintain it because to your point, I think if if it kind of deteriorates and gets a little run down, I think you might see the utilization drop off.
Even
But
fewer people would go
yeah,
inside at that point. The charging will still go, but
yeah,
can the
yeah,
charging support it?
yeah,
And the answer is probably not, you
yeah.
know?
I don't know. I wish them well. I mean, Rove, if you're listening, if you want to come on and talk about it, maybe I'll reach out and see if they want to talk about it. But
So
yeah,
back to like Tesla though,
hmm
doing things where with the supercharger, where
yeah,
it would kind of self-support. Or well, not self-support. It would be supported by Tesla, whether it was making
hmm
money or not, because it's kind of a loss leader. They've got a drive-in that
hmm
they're building in where is this in
Hollywood, I think.
Hollywood?
Yeah,
And that they've been talking about this for a while now.
yeah,
And you're saying it's close to opening.
yeah. Supposedly, yeah. Yeah. This was on the Verge. This was an update.
So this is 1950s style.
Yeah, it's kind of retro futuristic, kind of mid-century kind of. The aesthetic reminds me of like the Back to the Future kind of, I don't know, combination of, like I said, retro futuristic. Anyway, it's kind of a neat look. Conceptually, I think it's cool, but as we've discussed, Tesla has a little bit of a brand baggage they're dealing with right now. So I'm wondering if, when they announce the grand opening, if it's going to be deluged by protesters. Um, but I don't know.
So this strikes me a bit of like
hmm
a Sonic, like
Yeah,
it's a
kind of,
diner and drive-in.
cooler, I guess. Yeah.
And park. So the pictures, there'll be a link in the show notes. Pictures on The Verge show like there's all the charging ports, and then there's a giant screen
hmm
where presumably you can watch something,
hmm
not just
hmm
Tesla ads.
Yeah.
And then you tune in somehow, maybe through the Tesla app, some integration.
Yeah.
I
I'm
can't imagine
guessing,
they're
yeah.
using an FM modulator. Like I can't imagine they're doing it old school to get the sound into the car. But what do you do when you're facing the other direction? Or like there's not
I
screens
guess go
everywhere.
inside and get a burger, I guess. I don't know.
There needs to be some kind of integration. Maybe there is
Yeah, with the
through your
cars. Yeah.
screens. So when it's like local area,
hmm
that it pumps through onto the screens in
On
your
Wi-Fi,
car.
yeah, or something.
Yeah. I don't know if that's part of the thing. Maybe it
Yeah,
is.
I don't know. I'm guessing. I mean, I know there is some like localization technology, like for instance, like in my car, when you approach Kettleman City, there's a keypad on the door, so it just keeps the riffraff out, I guess. But as you get closer, it'll give you the door code and
Oh,
say,
that's nice.
oh,
And
if you want to get in and use the facilities, just type in the code. So
so maybe they can do this. Maybe they can
yeah,
stream movies to the thing, or maybe people are listening to this and thinking Phil's an idiot, uh, which is true.
yeah.
So
So
I'm not
I guess,
denying
I
that
mean,
part.
to bring this full circle, I mean, kind of taking Tesla out of the equation a little bit. I think this kind of ties into Rove too, is how how much could you make EV charging kind of be a destination, or is that too idealistic? Or should we even attempt that?
It kind of smells a little bit and this is the irony of the drive-in, the diner and
hmm
drive-in 1950s style.
hmm
It kind of smells a little bit of 1950s.
hmm
Everything was like, oh, well, what will the future look like in the
hmm
year,
That was very
1980?
idealistic. Yeah.
And the vast majority of that fell flat on its face.
hmm
Like, it was
hmm
never going to happen.
We still don't
And
have flying cars like Back to the Future said we would.
yeah, so there's or hoverboards or
Yeah.
self-tying shoes. Like, none of this stuff
Well,
ever
I
happened.
think they actually did make some.
Oh, they did, didn't they? But I think they were
I think that
expensive.
actually happened, but
Yeah, but
everything else, no.
not for the masses, not for
Yeah.
the McFlys like us. So is destination charging akin to
Where the
that?
charger is the destination.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm using the term wrong.
Yeah.
Where the charger is the destination. Is that akin to the 1950s pseudo-futuristic, what will we all be doing in the future? And here
hmm
they're
hmm
actually putting money into it, but it's
hmm
just going to fall on its face because it can't support itself. I think, like I've just said, oh, Tesla's got this model with the superchargers where it can
hmm
succeed.
hmm
It can succeed, I think, when you don't have a lot of infrastructure cost that goes along with
hmm
it. And
Which
here,
unfortunately you do with
yes,
charging stations.
but with drive-in, you have even more.
Yeah.
because now you've got more space that you're using up for making food or
Yeah,
staffing and all
yeah,
this stuff
yeah.
that you wouldn't necessarily have to if they just use this as a parking lot with a bunch
Hmm.
of charging kiosks.
Hmm.
So can it support this next step? And I guess if any company can tell us that, it's Tesla,
Yeah.
because they have proven that they can work a supercharger
Hmm.
network.
Hmm.
Can they work a supercharger network with a diner where
Hmm.
you would maybe want to go and spend an hour and a half?
Hmm.
Or now,
Hmm.
is there like a rush for, and this is the next problem. Like,
Hmm.
oh, the movie starts at 8. Do they follow that old paradigm of the movie starts and now you got everybody trying to get there at a certain time and then everybody leaves and you got this down period? Or
Yeah,
is it like
I don't
airplanes where it would integrate
kind
into
of
your
on
car
demand. Yeah.
and it's on demand and then you can show up anytime? But now you've taken away the awesomeness of of watching a screen, and
A big
instead you're
screen.
sitting in
Yeah.
your car for an hour and a half when you just ate your meal in 20 minutes. Like, I don't know
Yeah. I
how this
don't,
all works. Logistically, I like
yeah.
the concept, but I don't know in reality. Do
Yeah.
I gotta say no. Now that I've talked it through, I gotta say this is gonna fail.
I'm not going to write the obituary on it quite yet, but I think this is an unknown. Um,
They've got a lot to work out.
yeah.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
And
So
will this just be a supercharger parking lot in 5 years? Will they
yeah,
demolish the
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 diner.
diner part, the UFO looking thing,
Yeah.
and just make it all
All
superchargers?
chargers.
Because they can do
Or
that.
or they might sell it off to like a Johnny Rockets or
Oh man, that'd
In
be
and
awesome.
Out or whatever. I don't know.
See, if it was a Johnny Rockets, I would go and charge there. If it was a Johnny Rockets and drive-in, I think I would go there.
Yeah.
I think I could spend an hour there.
So
Or
anyway,
maybe they just show TikTok videos or something instead of an hour and a
no,
half
please
long.
no. Anyway,
All
um,
right. But do you
yeah.
have anything else?
So yeah, I think we
I think we made an episode out of this.
yes,
Believe it or not. I went to the park and thus was born an episode of
yes. There's something else I could go into, but I think we'll save that for another time.
I would say everything we talked about will be found in the show notes, but I think there might only be one link in there. I don't know. We'll have to go and see because it's hard to link to like my
I
local EV
thoughts.
car show. Yeah. So, but you can still share this episode, whether
Mhm.
it's on we're on all of the social media platforms. You can share it there. You can find the podcast on any podcast platform. You could also find us on YouTube, youtube.com/@thewhatcar. You could share us there. You can make comments there. If there's any inappropriate comments you'd like to make, email us at hello@thewhatcar.com because they'll get booted off of YouTube. So send all the inappropriate ones there. Then support us.
Yes.
thewhatcar.com/store. Purchase hats, t-shirts, water bottles. We got a lot of stuff that I got to check on the prices because I don't know how tariffs are affecting us on that. I mean, everything's printed in America, but the shirts sure don't come from America. Find an American-made shirt is
It's a challenge.
it's a challenge and it's very expensive, and you wouldn't want to buy it because it's already like $25 for a shirt. If you want
Yeah.
to spend like 50 on a shirt, sure, I'll get all the American-made stuff. And who should get the whatcar.com/advertise? What company should get that? Do we go to Rove?
Rove.
Try
Yeah.
and get their money before they go broke?
Oh,
Rove, go to with a pitch like that. How am I not
how could they
succeeding in
resist?
this? Yes. Thewhatcar.com/advertise. Next week, we're back for another quote unquote live episode where we'll discuss everything that has happened over the last week and maybe some auto show stuff. I don't know. We'll chew on something and pop out an entertaining, maybe episode of the What Car. Talk to you in the future.
In the future. Doo-doo-doo, doo-doo.